Okay, so Erica, with you know the conversation that we've been having about social media, the thing that a lot of people want is they don't want to put a lot of effort into social, but they want the reward, the massive reward of social media. And one of the things that, at least in the strength coach community, that I see, which I disagree with, but people aren't on camera enough. And whether that's because they're afraid that people are going to judge them, they're afraid that people are going to make fun of them. But it's like you're going to get so much more value. Your audience will get so much more value when they see your face and they see and hear you communicating. But it's like, for whatever reason, I even feel this is like in the community, they're like, oh, you shouldn't put yourself out there. You shouldn't be on camera. You shouldn't, because it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about your athletes. And it's like, yeah, but if you're educating people, then you should be in front of the camera.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with this one. So, I don't think every strength coach has to go on social media first and foremost,
Yeah.
especially if you're new. The last thing you need to do is like go on Instagram and try and get clients. If
Yeah.
you're new, get out in your neighborhood and you're better off like knocking on people's doors at that point
Mhm.
or going to speak to a local sports team and connecting with coaches and parents in the area. And I really think that's also coming from a more genuine place because you really want to connect with people. You really want to spread your message and work with people in person first instead of becoming this influencer who's like an online coach who can sip margaritas on the beach and make passive income, which
Yeah.
most people don't even accomplish anyway. But it's like, if
Yeah.
that's your goal, then you should really think about, okay, like, why am I doing this in the first place? And is this a really like integrous goal that I have? So I don't think every new coach has to be on Instagram to
Yep.
get a following and to get clients. But if you have been in it a while and you've gotten to the point where you're like a Mike Boyle or Eric Cressy and you want to have this really educational, detail oriented podcast and platform or website and community, then yes, like get online, but you don't have to become this entertainer on Instagram or TikTok who
Mm.
kind of dances around and
Yeah.
points at things. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's very unproductive work because those reels take a really long time to make.
Yeah.
I experimented with it a few years ago and I remember it took me like an hour to make one of those. And then on top of that, you have to write your caption, which no one reads anyway. And we talked about that, but
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always the read caption, and it's like no one's reading that. I'm sorry. They're just
Yeah.
tapping through the story and they're forgetting about it. So I think coaches just need to understand, okay, where can I connect with people and really make an impact? And
Mhm.
more often than not, it's in your own community.
Yeah.
And it's also doing, again, that longer form content where people really want to learn. And I think podcasts are great because, sometimes people don't always want to read a long caption or a long blog. But if they're like, on a walk or they're working out, people are more likely to listen to a podcast and learn some information. Or if they're taking a long road trip, people are more likely to turn on that podcast. So I think podcasts are still growing. They're not going to go away anytime soon.
Mhm.
And you definitely should start one when you've been in this for a while. I think a lot of new strength coaches
Yeah.
think that their podcast is going to be like the next best thing. Like everyone thinks their podcast is so great,
Yeah.
but you have to really have that experience under your belt and a body of work so people really respect the podcast and what you're putting out there.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like, a couple of things. If you're just doing a reel and you say read caption below, I think that's lazy, 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 lazy because nobody's reading it. Like, there's a couple of accounts that I follow that have started doing that, and I'm like, you are discrediting yourself. Like, you are really discrediting yourself, and I start to look at you differently because you're just unwilling to put some of the hard work in for a reel, and you just, oh, I'll just read caption below. It's like, no, that's stupid. Don't do
Mhm.
that. Like, that's just lazy. Even if it's trendy or whatever, it's gonna go away. Just like the point crap, that stuff's gone away. Not many people are doing that still. Like, a friend of mine, she left a company and now she does TikTok videos and all this other stuff, and all she does is point. And I'm like,
Mm,
like, yeah, that may be cool for a month or 2 months or 6 months, but like it's not a long-term solution for you.
mhm.
But with that, I think everybody now wants a podcast. Everybody now seems to like have a podcast, right? And it's like, to your point, if you don't have results or you aren't in the trenches where you can say, this is what we're doing every day, or this is how we're doing things, I don't think it's best for you to have one, because it's like if you're just having one just to sit and talk, well, not many people really want to hear you just sit and talk, right? Like, let's be honest. But it's like if you're actually doing things and you're actually like learning and you're actually like asking questions and you're actually attempting to get better, then okay, cool, fine. And then you can utilize that information. But I think there's a lot of people that it's just like, hey man, I don't think it's best for you to do that. And it's very time consuming. You know that, just like I know that it's very time consuming.
It is. And yes, I think having several years of coaching is really important to
Mhm.
start your podcast because if you are someone who has a podcast where you talk about training methods, then you should have a lot of that under your belt. But I also look back, even just in my first few years of being a strength coach, I don't think me as a podcast host, I would have been able to interview someone like
Mm,
Mike Boyle or Dr. Tim Gabbett. Like,
yeah.
I don't think I would have just, like, known the language and been able to articulate myself enough, so I think if you want to interview, like, these bigger name people who are really, like, leading the industry, you have to, like, be mature in your profession as well, so you don't say anything stupid.
Mhm. Or just so you can have intelligent questions that actually get them going and
Yeah.
actually foster intellectual thought process rather than just, so what are the top three things you dislike the most? And it's like, okay, well, that's not, a very difficult thing. It's from that standpoint. But okay, so from a social media standpoint, do you have a rhyme or reason in regards of like how much you post, how frequently you post? Do you mix it up between reels, pictures? Is that a thought process? Or for you, is it just here's I just kind of, post whatever I want to, kind of whenever I want to? Or are you looking at time? That's a big thing. If you follow people that have huge followings, they talk to you so much about the time of the day you post and the first 3 seconds and the retention graphs and all that stuff. Is that stuff you're interested in at all as well, or not so much?
I don't have a social media strategy. I know a lot of social media managers and
Yeah.
business owners would be like, you need to post every day at 1 p.m. because that's when the most people are online, or you need to mix it up and do reels with the music that's trending so you
Mhm.
get views and engagement. I don't do any of that stuff
Yeah.
and I'm still okay. The world is still spinning. And I'll only post if I have a podcast episode
Mhm.
out and I just want to share a clip and then link it to the full episode and just let people know, "Hey, it's up. Go to my YouTube if you want to like really learn more." And
Mhm.
those are the people I want on my channel, like the people who really want to learn and actually listen to an hour-long podcast from an expert in the industry. So, yeah, I'm just pretty okay with not posting every day. And actually, I took like 4 or 5 days off from Instagram, and what was really interesting was when I actually came back, my engagement soared. Like, I
Really?
had thousands of story views, and I was like, "That's crazy." And I think a lot of these social media companies lie to you and like say you have to post every day to like get your views up. But when I post every day, everything kind of is like very low. But when
Mm.
I like go away for a while, then come
Mhm.
back, then
Mhm.
everyone's like, whoa, she's back. So that's been interesting too.
Yeah.
And I don't have to spend as much time on it, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And, I've just gotten okay with not being on as much. And part of it's because I'd rather spend my time creating things for like my current athletes. Like right now, I'm putting together a whole curriculum for my remote athletes and Tampa athletes. And it takes me like several hours a day and just finding creative ways to like serve them beyond just like our 1 hour training sessions and talk about things in a curriculum that have to do with like recovery and nutrition and things that they're not really learning from their coaches or parents or school. So I spend a lot of time doing that. I also spend a lot of time reading and hanging out with my husky and
Yeah.
just kind of being in peace. And
Yeah.
I'm still surviving over here and it's okay. And I just want to encourage strength coaches, like new and veteran and everything in between. You don't need Instagram and TikTok as much as you think. And
Yeah.
I even wrestled with the idea the other day because I saw one fitness expert that I follow and that I really respect. She does a lot on teaching trainers how to do speaking engagements
Sure.
and articulate themselves. And
Mhm.
she posted the other day, she was like, I'm getting off Instagram. You can find me at my email. I do one on one coaching and speaking courses, and that's it. And I was like, dang, it would be pretty cool to get off Instagram. And I am starting to like toy around with that
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
because people know where to find me. They have my email, they have my website, they can visit me in Tampa at any time. So I was just like really thinking like, oh man, that would be a pretty good life because then you're not constantly checking the app and because it is addictive for everyone. I don't care who you are, but
Yeah.
I just thought that was really cool of her.
Yeah. I think you see more people trending that way. One of the podcasts I listen to, the host is he's like, I don't post at all. I'm hardly on there. He's like, I might post twice to my story in a week, like I mean, granted, he's got like millions of followers and stuff. And so that's cool. But to the point is like, I think you are starting to see a shift to unfiltered, um, not buttoned up, less time on social platforms because people are, they want to engage in person more. They want to go and do things more. They don't want to be sucked into an app scrolling and consuming all the time rather than going out and doing. And then when you do go out and do, and then you do come on the app and you're like, hey, I got something to say, it's actually valuable and it's meaningful because like you are actually doing, rather than I'm just sitting here consuming. Why isn't my life getting better? Why are all these people so amazing? And you play the comparison game and all this other stuff. I haven't really been posting that much, honestly. Like I think I probably I might post twice a week now. I don't know.
And
Um,
you're thriving. I mean, you're still, you're afloat, you're here, you're killing it, like whatever you want to call it. Like
Yeah,
it is possible,
yeah,
like yeah, I feel bad for people that think that's what they have to do
mhm,
to be a successful strength coach.
yeah,
And I think it's easy to get sucked into that and forget your why of why you're a coach. And it's like people get sucked into the whole, well, I need to impress strangers on the internet and get online clients when it's like you got athletes right next door in your city that are ready to work with you. You just don't get out and talk to people.
yeah, yeah. That's a big thing. Get out and talk to people. Go to different gyms. Go to different places. There's so many strength coaches that like I work out in my gym because it's the best, and it's like, yeah, but you don't see anybody there. You don't meet anybody there. Nobody knows you there. You know what I'm saying? It's like get out and go a different place. Go do something different. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of them that.
Another thing I'll say is just a way to connect with your community and just to enjoy what you do as a coach. I really like to go watch my athletes play
Mm,
and just like show my support, see how everything's translating to the field and just like really cheer for them. But also like when you go, you hang out with the parents, you sit in the stands with them, you might like meet other people. It's just so beneficial all around. Like there's nothing like bad about it. I think it's always good to like get out, watch your athletes play and like get to sporting events.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The more you can do that, I think it just helps you develop a deeper relationship with them. And it helps you develop the ability contextually to speak on certain circumstances in the game. Hey, do you remember when this happened? And blah, 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 whatever. Oh yeah, well, hey, this is why we're training that. Oh, okay, cool, right? Like it makes that connection from that. And you can even do like a content piece on that, right? Because understanding the game and knowing the game and how to train for that is something that's really important, right? It's like, how are we helping these athletes get better at their sport? Well, one of the ways we can do that is look at the sport and then piece together our training with the sport, whether it's something they're not getting or whether it's something that they need to get more of. That's a piece of content. There you go, right? And it's like, whether that's you coaching, teaching, having a conversation, whatever the case may be, but it's like, that's an instance that not anybody else can replicate because it's specific to you, your athlete, their game, and the context of that one game, which
Yeah, it's super important to get out and support your athletes. And again, like if you spend an hour making a reel on Instagram, that's an hour you could have gotten out and supported someone and gotten to one of these sporting events. It's just really sad. Like it's just sad that people think that in order to do well, you have to do all that. And I think I call it unproductive productivity.
yeah.
People
Yeah.
think they're being productive, but they're really not.
Yeah, and if you look at it from the aspect of this, like, okay, so like what is the purpose of posting on social media then, right? To, attract what? Engagement in the form of likes, follows, shares, comments, and then hopefully to attract clients at some point, right? If that is your goal. So then that is sales. So if you're doing all that and it's not registering in the form of a bigger following, more engagement, or sales, then it's unproductive
Mm,
in the grand scheme of what you are trying to accomplish, right?
mhm,
Like, because if you weren't trying to accomplish those things, you wouldn't care how much or less or not at all you post to begin with. And you wouldn't care about making it look pretty and nice. And you'd just be like, I'm just throwing it up just to throw it up,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, I think the world can definitely go on without Instagram and TikTok for sure.
Yeah. Well, it has before and it definitely will when when it gets either removed or a new platform or whatever.
Mhm.
I think people are just kind of sick of it. After a while it gets to be too much, and it's to a certain extent it's unsustainable, right? Like I was just having a conversation with a friend, great friend of mine, and he was talking about how, oh man, we can pay these people to do all of our content for us and they'll cut it up, and they're going to do this, so many long forms and so many reels, and it's only X amount per month. And I'm like, Jesus, like that's
Mhm.
incredible. And it's like, oh my gosh, how cool that would be. And I'm like, yeah, but do you realize that's your entire day of
Huh.
like creating all of these things just to give these people this stuff for,
Yeah,
what purpose, right? I was like, you can do that. I'm not going to, but if you want to, you go right ahead.
right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of these like social media managers are a huge expense.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to really outweigh the cost versus benefits of having someone do all that content for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of strength coaches will hire people like that just so they can get volume of content out. Um, and I don't think you necessarily need volume of content.
Yeah.
You need quality content. And actually my husband, he hardly is on social media. He works with baseball pitchers and does like load management, but he's really good at like video production, and he
Sure.
made this amazing YouTube video on how pitchers shouldn't be using ratings of perceived exertion. And he had like all these like overlays and like data, and like it was just so well put together. And he hasn't posted on YouTube in months. And that video got close to 5,000 views within a week. And
Wow.
I'm like, see, like you don't
Yeah.
have to like always be posting. Like just
Yeah.
make something that's gonna just blow people away where they actually learn something new.
hmm Yeah, exactly. Quality over quantity. Because at a certain point, the quantity becomes junk volume, if you will. And
Mhm,
it's like, well, would you rather put out 10 pieces of, outstanding stuff or 100 pieces of pretty mediocre subpar stuff, right?
mhm.
And it's like, well, let's just do 10.
Yeah.
And it probably gives you a lot more life back rather than sucked into cameras and computer screens and recording, and now you gotta learn what is it, CapCut and Video Premiere Pro or all these other editing tools that people now take on as like I got to learn all this stuff. It's like no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have to do that. But if you want to, feel free. So,
Mhm.
but Erica, where can people find you online? Speaking of online, but where can people find you online? How can they get in contact with you? For those that haven't heard your first episode, so how can they kind of get in contact with you now?
Yeah, so I am on Twitter mainly at Fit Soccer Queen, and then from there you'll be able to see the website link in my bio, and my email is fitsoccerqueen@gmail.com.
Yeah, awesome. Erica is a fantastic resource. Her website is amazing. I think I've probably complimented you like 10 times on it, but she does a great job with it. Her YouTube is really good too. And you're a author. So for those that haven't checked out her books, go check her books out. Just recently released a second one too. Is that right?
Yes, Female Athlete High Performance, and it's on Amazon.
Let's go. And the first one is still on Amazon too.
Yes.
Awesome. So go get those books. If you are a female soccer athlete primarily, because that's your primary target audience, but anybody can read those and get information from them, and apply it to their athletes for sure. So, guys, Erica, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you and your time. I appreciate your insights as always. And you do have a podcast for those that don't know. Erica also has a podcast, so go check that out. Where can they get that at?
That's only on YouTube, and it's the Soccer Queens podcast.
Look at that. Let's go. So, but
Just
Erica,
one platform.
one platform, one channel, one Twitter and YouTube. You can
Yeah.
find Erica there. But Erica, no, I do appreciate your time, you coming on, and continuing to move this forward, and help people and kind of let people be like, hey, man, you can do things much better, more efficient, save your time, and enjoy life a lot more.
Absolutely.
Good. Awesome. Well, guys, we'll catch y'all on the next one. So appreciate it. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you.